Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Heed Army Podcast Live. We've got a good show lined up for you today. We're going to be speaking to Matt from the Oldham podcast, which I forgot the actual name of it, which I shouldn't really have when you've got a guest sitting waiting in the wings. So we'll be previewing the Oldham game. We'll be talking about the Southend result as well. And not only that, we didn't mention it on Wednesday during the Ladies' Night podcast when we had the obviously the ladies team on, the sad passing of former manager Tony Lee. We had his son on, Graham Lee Spike, earlier in the season. There he is there. Fantastic man. We'll be talking about him later. We always seem to give people the flowers after they die. I'm really proud that we were able to, have his son on, I think it's about 8 months ago, and talk to him about Tony, because he was in ill health at the time, but we talked about what a special man he was. And we'll be talking about that later on. So if anyone's got any messages, please do send those in. Say it's a sad thing, but he was celebrated yesterday at Middlesbrough on the 75th minute on the screen there. And they got a fantastic ovation, the Lee family, when that happened. So that's just a lovely touch. And the football community, all the teams he managed, Whitby's, Scarborough, I think Bishop Auckland and Billingham Sinfonia, just to mention a few, they all put a lovely touch and tributes to the man. So, we're going to carry on that vein and talk about him a little bit later on. Like and subscribe as ever. It really does help. Like this video if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening on the audio version when it goes up, give us a try on YouTube when we're live. We're going to be going 8 p.m. on Thursdays from now on, because obviously my daughter isn't sleeping properly, so we're going to do a little bit earlier to try and keep her in bed. Messages coming in already. We've got Just a Visionary. Hello boys, thank you very much. Liv Walden, good evening to you both. And we've got Darren Walden, evening lads, back in the middle of the Irish Sea. Well, there we go. So a favourite overseas listener there. But we say that to everyone that listens from abroad. So we've got Mason's football chat. Hopefully the club does something on Tuesday for Tony. Well, I would imagine they will, because obviously people that's involved in the club knew Tony as well. So we'll get into that. Mickey, just a little mention about yesterday's game. Obviously went down there, lost a man in the first half. It sounds like Aaron Martin's lost his head in the moment in a scuffle. Haven't seen any footage, but to play the rest of the game with 10 men and only finish 1-0 shows that the team played very strong, kept the shape, but not ideal in the running that we've got against the teams we're going to be playing, which you've got to see on paper are winnable. To go in there half-cocked up front is a bit of a kick in the teeth.
I haven't seen anything, to be honest. So obviously, like yourself, I was waiting for the commentary, and it never come on.
Can I just say a big thank you to BBC Essex with the money they've got in the BBC. Everyone's license fee. I know I do commentary and things happen. You have problems, but at least I've never been off for the whole game. Absolutely disgusting from the BBC. They did not even attempt to fix that, because nothing changed. I was refreshing that screen. They did nothing on there. So
I cannot see how Southend would let them, if they're trying to charge $4.49 or whatever it is. I can't see how they can let another channel come and sell it for free. The same issues. And
it was poor form, whether it was their fault or not, but still, from the BBC you expect more, you expect better. So yeah,
it could have been their way of protesting against him.
I think it would have been, but they were going out on local radio, so it wasn't that the fact that it was just online, it was off. So yeah, just one of them things.
It might have been out of their hands. We don't know. It was frustrating for myself.
It is,
but by all accounts,
obviously the big protest and we hope that they get through this, not just from a personal reason, because if they do go out, if they get thrown out and go out of business, we lose 3 points in our relegation battle, which is awful, but awful for them. We know what it's like, having your team on the cusp of
losing 3 points is nothing compared to losing the football.
Not at all. Right. Also, we're talking about Oldham coming up. We have a guest. We're going to quickly play our sponsors video, and when we come back, we're going to be speaking to Matt. He's a lovely lad. We've already spoken to him so far. So when we come back, we'll be getting right into the Oldham preview. we go. Thank you to our sponsors, Northern Print Solutions. We're joined by Matt. Hello, Matt. How are you doing?
Good evening, Dave. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm looking forward to the game on Tuesday. It's kind of a game where you can level things up this season with the FA Trophy result. I mean, we've had a draw last week, and it felt like for us it was a great comeback. But for yourselves, was it 3 points thrown away?
I'm not surprised you're looking forward to playing us, to be honest with you. I saw both those games, and I reckon you'd fancy coming out of that game undefeated against us in 3. To be honest, it was really disappointing. It's one of what it's like when there are some games that you draw, but you feel like you lost.
Yeah,
and that was one of them. And I thought we were well in control in the second half when we started to press. That's what we need to do. If we play high up the pitch and we press and we stop teams playing, then that suits us. And that's exactly what we were doing. And we got 2 up and then we just dropped back. You guys are good at footballing. You're a good footballing team. Like, you pass the ball really well. You create chances. And the last thing that we could afford to do was to just drop off and give you the time and space. And it's exactly what we did. And the goals, it was just like I thought they were going to end up back in the stand with us behind the goal, the defenders. They were dropping that deep.
Yeah.
And, the keeper made a right hash of it at the end and fumbled a really tame cross. Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? But I think we've played you twice now. We should have the measure of you for Tuesday night, and I'd like to think we can go there and get our second away win of the season.
Yeah. I think it's set up for a good game, isn't it? There's a lot at stake. It would really rest your worries of a relegation battle. If you
really would, yeah.
For us, we could potentially get out of it. But I mean, just we touched on a little bit before we came on air. There's teams around us are plummeting like a stone at the moment. York managerless, Dorking, who started off on fire, have found the second half of the season very hard going, which I thought might happen. Part-time squad, and I know a lot of people say part-time doesn't really come into it in these days because players look after themselves, but the travelling is a big thing. It doesn't really matter in your local leagues, like your North and South leagues. Getting to the National League, if you're part-time, that's going to take it out if your players are working through the week and having to travel. Maybe like what we did in the last 2 weeks is over 2,000 miles.
We had Mark White on our football phone-in. So just to remind you, David, our podcast is called the Boundary Park Alert System.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's all right. And that goes out on a Monday morning. And then we have
that, David.
Yeah.
And then we have a Latics football phone-in, which is a bit like this, live on a Wednesday night. But we get the fans to call in and have a chat with us. And we had Mark White on from Dorking a couple of weeks ago, and he had a good chat with us for about 90 minutes. He's a great lad. But he was telling us, like, just in terms of like how much time he gets to spend with his team and everything. They come in twice a week, they're all at work, and to be mixing it like he has done, even just to get where he's got Dorking is absolutely incredible achievement. It really is. Yeah. But to be mixing it like he has done in this division under those circumstances, absolutely fair play. What a team they must have down there, not just the players, but the backroom staff, the personnel.
I mean, there was an interview he did a few weeks ago where he was effing and jeffing, and it was an honest interview. It was a heartfelt one. It was industrial language, but like you couldn't help but like him. He was just honest. He didn't hide from it. He just, he just said, "This is it. This is what we're going to do."
That's when they got beat off Oldham 5. Was it Oldham 5-1?
Yeah, 5-1.
Yeah. He says, well, basically we've got beat 5-1 because we're shit at defending. That was his exact words.
Yeah.
And you can't help but like someone who's so honest.
Well, the thing is, in that game, they're a good possession side, like Gates said, are they? When we played Dagenham the other night, we beat them 4-2 because they played into our hands. They kept pushing up and leaving loads of space for us to run into from the back, and that's what Dorking did as well. They had, I think it was something ridiculous, like 75% of the possession, but we just got 5 smash and grab goals. Like, we were dead clinical, and that was it. And we did. They did play into our hands completely. So. Can you do that on Tuesday for us, please?
No, you're all right. We'll not do that.
You're all right. And I tell you what I would like you to do is just keep dropping back and just let you keep have a lie down and give them a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and a biscuit, and we just score a few goals and get on with it.
I was chatting to Mark we've been sending messages back and forth, and I said, look, we'll do you a favour now, because their 3 games, including the last one, were Bromley, Wrexham, and Torquay. So really, really tough game. So and Torquay's at home, so that would be the only one that would really fancy themselves. So I said, I'll tell you what, lads, we'll do you a favour. We'll beat Gateshead twice and Maidstone. And then you just need to beat Torquay. And as our goals were going in against you guys on Tuesday night, I'm sending in messages going, oh, we're 1-up, we're doing it. Yeah. And then it was like 2-1. Sorry, mate, it's 2-2 now. Like, and it looked like you might go on and win it, if anything.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're just talking about characters there, and your new chairman, he probably isn't much of a character to use because of the accent and stuff, but us. Yeah. And and his video went out, and he maybe not media trained and just talking like he would anyone in the streets. It's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from one extreme to the other. We've gone from having a Moroccan former football agent who lived in Dubai and spent most of his time in Dubai, like hiding from fans and not communicating, to having a local eccentric who built the world's only steam-powered Land Rover, rode the Atlantic at 70 years of age, was on Bear Grylls Survivor. He's quite shy and retiring, really, generally speaking. he is a character, all right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, the enthusiasm that he brings, obviously that's transcended into the stands and stuff now. Is it much better on a match day, especially? Obviously, results are starting to pick up, but does it, compared to the seasons gone by, it must be lovely at the minute, is it?
Well, last I was just telling you before we came on air, like last season we were, last few seasons we with the podcast we were leading a charge against the owners, the previous owners, and we got to the point where it was boycott. Starve them of money, let's get rid of them. It's the only way. So, regardless of what the official attendances were being released as, last season there were gates of like 1,500 in there. You know what I mean? It was there was no atmosphere. Even our Atleticos, who are the guys behind the goal in the home end who make all the noise, they quit going. It was dead. There was no facilities. One of the stands were closed. It was awful. It was just awful. And in just the short space of time that they came back, they've created a new fans bar. They've made improvements to the floodlighting, and it's a bottomless pit, in it, in terms of what you can spend. When a club like Oldham, it's not just been neglected over the last 4 years. It's been neglected for a long, long time. The stadium needs a lot of work doing to it. The infrastructure of the club, the staff. The facilities, everything needed. So these guys have come in and they've really had there's so much work to do. And they've literally done as much as they possibly could in a really short space of time. And it's just chalk and cheese. It really is. If we can actually just like get through this season and then look to next season with a settled squad, or a pretty much settled squad, bring in some new players, get rid of some of the deadwood, because we have a massive squad of deadwood as well, by the way. The next season could actually be a good season for the first time in.
It can be a reset for a club of your size. Like there's so many, the likes of Doncaster Rovers, Carlisle. There's clubs that have come down and bounced back up and went higher up. Luton, exactly. Yeah. Down, they've had a reset, and it can happen. It may take a while. It could happen instantly. I mean, look at Wrexham. They probably didn't expect to be down here as far as this long. For a club of their size, and the size have grown into since they're the new owners. But yeah, it's because for us last season, when we were like in the championship race, we were looking at League Two thinking, who could we be playing next year? Like obviously we're jumping from Farsley Celtic away to Oldham Athletic away. It's a big jump up. You're going to bigger grounds, clubs with bigger history. What was it like for you on the other end of that, looking, going, oh God, we could be going to Chorley next year?
Yeah, I mean, the National League, I never thought, give it a couple of years ago, we were in League One for 21 years, right? We went from the Premier League to the Championship in no time, then we dropped into League One. We had 2 playoff campaigns in that time. We've been promoted twice since 1974, right? So we're not used to success, right? Yeah. But we're a League One team, really. That's been our level. And then we dropped then into League Two, and then we thought, you know what, like, surely we can't. People just, it's hard to comprehend, isn't it? But then we dropped into the National League, and we never expected to be here, and we are, and then I think then people have been really panicking about the prospect of dropping into the National League North. And I think had the management, the club management, senior management, not spent money this season, I think we would have done, because like we've been starting seasons with brand, not just a few new players, like brand new squads every single season for the last however many like years now, and turning over like that. And there's been no balance. There's been no like rhyme or reason for recruitment. We ended up as like, transfer window a few years back. We had Harry Kewell as the manager. Mm-hmm. We were the highest scorers in the league. And I think we finished 19th because we shipped so many goals. And in January, when we needed defenders, we brought in like 4 wingers. It was this kind of like thing where like, what's going on? So it's just been mismanaged so badly.
Yeah.
So as much as it's a shock to the system, we are where we are because we deserve to be where we are in terms of how the club has been run, and you can't argue. It's not great, but people, what fans are like. It's just like, well, new ground to go to, and you just get on with it, don't you?
Certainly. Well, we've got a question from Mick Scully. He's put, does Matt believe Unsworth is the man to take Oldham forward? Because I've seen a lot of criticism on the Oldham Twitter, the responses to the club's thing. Is that a general consensus, or is it just the boo boys?
Well, I mean, our hashtag is crazy. It's a source of bewilderment and entertainment on a regular basis. But there are some fans who we talked about this. We recorded our own podcast that's out tomorrow morning, earlier on today, and there are some fans in our fan base that want him to fail. They made their mind up about him very, very early on, and for whatever reason, they seem to want him to fail. I've been of the mindset that it's been he couldn't get a tougher job, tougher first job, to go from under 23s management in the Premier League to a club which has got to rebuild everything in its football.
Well, you just said there before, they've got to rebuild the stability so you can't do that if you're going to chop and change manager this quick.
Exactly, and there was we didn't have a scouting network. We didn't have any kind of recruitment system. We used to get the last ownership. It was the owner's brother Mohammed, he used to recruit players. He was the sporting director, and he used to just bring in like 3rd division French players that had never played in English football, and brought them to Oldham, telling them that they'd be living in Manchester and things like that. And it was just farcical. So the job is huge. Staying in the league this season is enough. It really is. And then next season, with the budget that we've got, I'll be able to answer that question properly, because I don't think you can really judge him on this season. Because I think anyone coming in with the size of the job would struggle.
Yeah, especially the whole circle of the circumstances as well.
Yeah, I think so.
If he gets his own pre-season in, his own time to assess the players he wants to keep,
exactly. So we'll see. We'll see next season.
Yeah, but have you got any questions for us? Anything that you're wondering about Gateshead?
I mean, I was impressed with Gateshead when I watched it both times. Ours is a bad pitch. It's very dry. It's very bobbly. But you seem to be, for a team that's struggling down the bottom of the table, I was impressed with the attitude on Tuesday night in particular. Is there a good, because you didn't give up, it was 2-0 down, you kept going. You look like a team that believes in each other and is playing for each other. And you must be pleased. Is that right? Is that like generally a good assessment? And are you pleased with, although you're having a difficult season, are you pleased with how it's going?
I think the player, a lot of them players are from last season for the start, and some even longer. And we've just put little building blocks in. I mean, injuries has hampered us big time all season. But the philosophy from the manager is football. He likes to watch passing football. He's a big Liverpool fan. He likes the way they press, and he likes the way they play the football. So that's what he's imposing on us, and that's the way we've played. When we go long ball, we look absolutely crap. If you want the God's honest truth,
we can't play long ball. I know a lot of people criticise that we maybe don't have a plan B, but plan A opens up so many doors. And if the team are all, like, say we were 2-0 down, we kept going. It's the process, as Mike Williamson calls it. And he believes in that process. He's instilled it in the players. They have brought in players this season that haven't bought into the process. I don't believe that have left so far. They didn't have the work ethic to go along with the way we want to play. And if a player doesn't have that drive to cover every blade of grass for 90 minutes, they get found out in this side. They look very average. They could be great players in another team, but if they don't play to the way Gateshead play, they can look pretty poor in a Gateshead side.
Where do you want to take? I mean, obviously, all fans want the for your club to go as far as possible, but you've, like you said, we were talking before. You've been through your troubles. Your existence has been threatened. You're now in the National League again. Like, where do you hope this might go now from here? And are you confident that you will keep building? Even if you were to get relegated, do you think you've got the infrastructure and everything to bounce back and keep going?
Blocks and foundations that have been put together through the soul and local businessmen that have got involved in the club, that have all bought into the ethos of being a community club, has put us in good stead. Even if we went down, I think we'd keep a majority of the squad. We'd carry on playing with I think no one would ever want Mike Williamson to go, apart from the Twitter trolls, who always seem to make more noise than the people that want to see the team go forward. But if we could survive and become an established National League side, that would be fantastic. And then see if the fan base is growing. The hardcore, is about 1,000 at the moment. And 20 years ago, it's about 250. It's small steps, and the club have come massively far. I mean, we didn't expect to even have a club, let alone be back in the National League 3 years later and win the league in style. And obviously, I mean, people have put here Macaulay Langstaff. They've got Macaulay Langstaff and Scott all. I have to say, look, how many times we've been through that conversation? A club of our size has to sell to move forward. And you can't stand in the way of players like that. But yeah, that's what we've got to do. We've got to be a club that finds talent, like Macaulay Langstaff and Kedwin Scott. They benefited, we've benefited, and they leave and we get a fee. And there's not many clubs do that. So if we can do that every couple of seasons and get a big one sold on, then more power to the club, because that's the way it's got to be done. We in the grand scheme of things, we are small fry, especially in the National League. Our budget is probably one of the smallest. So, and that reflects in the squad and the injuries, how they hamper us.
I think it sometimes, like, it takes a bit of creativity, doesn't it, and long-term planning, because we're in the shadow of Man United and Man City. You can jump on a bus in Oldham Town Centre and be outside the Etihad, literally 2-minute walk to the Etihad in about 20-25 minutes. So we're not far at all from City.
We're probably very geologically the same with the footballing world, because obviously you can see St James's from the back of Gated Stadium. We've got Sunderland not far away, and of course with the attention on Newcastle United at the moment, of course, getting to a cup final as well, plus the feel-good factor the new owners have brought in, it can be a struggle. But Gateshead haven't tried to steal any identity. We've got our own. That's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to steal fans, say, come here, it's better than this or that. It's lend your support, come along. Why not see Gateshead take on such and such? They're doing it the right way. And, things like this, we mentioned before we came on air what podcasts can do. Even if we entice one person a season to come along, if they've seen the podcast, then that's fantastic. It's just baby steps, and hopefully the club can take bigger steps when it's in a better place to do so.
But to answer your question, yes, I want to win the league and be fighting against Oldham and Wrexham, but we haven't got the money. So unless we decide that we want to, go out on a limb and put the club at risk, we'd love to do that. But after losing your club 3 years ago, or nearly 4 years ago, to where we are now, back, I mean, we shouldn't have been relegated, and Southend got their money troubles, as we all know. And I'd be very surprised, even if Southend finish in the playoffs,
I don't even think
the league allow them to play them.
Yeah, I don't think the league would allow them to play them if it isn't all sorted financially off the pitch. We've got lots of messages coming in. Please don't worry, I will read them out throughout the show. Just I want to get them in at the right time and things like that.
What about Hogan anyway? How's Hogan playing?
He's doing all right. He got a bad injury early on in the season. He was out for a good 10 weeks. So that was when we had some bad luck. We had him, and we had Hallam Hobb when we played Chesterfield at home, got battered off one of the Chesterfield players in the car park after the game. broke his jaw and all that kind of stuff. So we had a bit of a rough run. But yeah, I mean, Hogan's doing all right. We've just signed a lad called Yanni at centre half who's made a massive difference. He's really good, really big, strong, mobile. So that makes life a lot easier for Hogan. He's the captain of the club, and I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. But
he's a solid performer. He'll not let you down. That's what you get from Hogan. He was great news with us. It was a devastator when he left, but you understood why. We've got Chris Story has put, which Gateshead players have impressed Matt so far in the 2 games he's watched against us?
You know what? I'll be dead honest with you. I'm hopeless at like knowing who's who, and I sit right on the back row of the stand behind the goal, and my eyes aren't what they were. So I tend to struggle to see who's who, to be honest with you. So I don't really know individually, but like I said earlier on, I have been impressed in the 2 games that I've seen by how well you pass the ball, and we are the worst footballing side that I've seen this season.
Yeah,
our passing.
To be honest,
honestly, our passing is terrible. We cannot string passes together. We can't play the ball out from the back through the midfield and to the forwards. We give it away all the time. We're at our best when we played like we did in the second half against Gateshead on Tuesday. When we do a high press, we pinch the ball in the opposition's half, and then we play amongst our forward players who are better on the ball, and that's how we're better off playing. It's hard to keep that up for 90 minutes, but like that's how we're best off playing. I saw a tweet. Someone had tweeted actually, and they tweeted that in his opinion, the 4 best footballing sides he's seen in the National League this season were Notts County, Wealdstone, Altrincham, and Gateshead. Actually, with a 4th, and all 4 of those sides have passed us off the park when we played. And Wealdstone came to our place and beat us 2-1. Yeah. Notts County down at their place on Boxing Day annihilated us. And Altrincham beat us 1-0 and passed us off the park as well. So there is a lot of work to do at Oldham, but we do have some quality now. And like against Maidstone on Saturday, we scored 2 really good goals. It was 2 bits of quality in a really, really dire game. So, like I said, my apologies for not being well up on the Gateshead side.
One of your brethren has pulled you out the cloth with that one. Keza has put, I'd like to say Conte looks a good player. Other than not having noticed any standouts, just a solid team of togetherness, really. So, Conte has been just absolutely fantastic. He's on loan from Middlesbrough at the moment.
Yeah, that's number 42, isn't it? The striker who scored a goal, didn't he?
He's a midfielder, but he scores from outside the box. It's his party trick. It's unbelievable the goals he scored from outside the box. They've all been eye-catching ones, but
it's like you were saying before, though. Like with the teams that are on the way down, I mean, if you can keep enough players fit, from what I've seen in those 2 games, I think you've got every chance of staying up by what I've seen. Because there are teams in free fall, and like I say, you look like you've got enough in the way of confidence and ability. So let's have to see. Hopefully, you'll start after Tuesday, though.
We've got another message from an Oldham fan here. I think he's an Oldham fan, Isaac Mulholland. As Gateshead fans, would you like to get a new stadium if the club could get enough money? It's a strange one because me and Mickey, we've been following Mickey more than me, but I'm 25 years plus into following Gateshead, and it's always been our home, so we're used to it with a running track. There's the pros and cons. Of course, it's always tried to be, looked into with Graham Wood as chairman, and I would imagine, it's probably something as a pipe dream for the club at the minute. But our big worry is that Gateshead Council are really struggling financially. They're closing the local leisure centres. There is going to be a review on what they're doing with Gateshead Stadium in June, as with all of the facilities in Gateshead run by them. So, it's a strange conundrum. We don't know what's going on at the minute. I'd like to stay there because I don't think we could afford to move and buy somewhere. It's get the club stable first.
You don't know any royal families that have just invested in businesses in the town, do you?
No, not at all.
Wow, and now the King of Oldham, Matt, apparently he's going to put loads of money in.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that, mate. There's not enough to go around Oldham, I'm afraid. But, it is crazy when you've got, I think this is what I was going to say before about being creative. You've got that massive club and football, the passion for football in Newcastle's ginormous. And it's almost like they're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, aren't they? Like they're going to get ridiculously big now with all that finance, and so I think Gateshead do offer something that unique that you can't get at Newcastle. But I think that stadium is. Oh, I mean, it puts me off the idea. You know what I mean? It's like, it looks a bit grim going up there with running track and that.
The away fan, where they put them in the far stand, there's no roof on it. So if you come in December and it's chucking down with rain, I wouldn't put that on anybody. But yeah, I mean, personally, from the Titan away stand, I think you get a great view of the pitch. You're not that far away from it. I know it can be alien if you're used to being at a smaller ground where you're on top of the players. It'll feel like you've been transported back 100 miles, but I quite like it myself. I'm not. It's all right. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea.
I'm going to say, you just said you sit in the back of your stand at Oldham. You come up to the game on Tuesday, you sit in the stand on the far side. You'll be able to sit there and you'll be able to see the whole game from where you're sitting. And it'll be no worse a seat than the one you've got at Oldham. Apart from the running track, of course. But the view from the ground is where you can see the whole pitch is amazing. The only time can you remember there for your cup tie when you won the bottom corner?
Yeah, that was cool.
Each other. That's a bit different altogether. Yeah, but if you're in the stand at the side, you've got a great view of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so but no, it should be a great game. What I will ask you if you can, because we do put the commentary out online as well. It's not just on National League TV. It's carried on National League TV. So if there's any fans that can't afford to get that or can't afford to get up, you're welcome to join us on the Heat Army podcast, bringing you full live match commentary, interactive like this is as well. So it'd be great to have you all send in messages, and we'd love to hear from any Oldham fans as well. As Kez has put, I wasn't a fan of his. I wasn't mad on his celebration though. What was that? Because we've seen a load of grief online about Conte's celebration.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But they hadn't been getting grief from our end, as far as I was aware. They were just But then he got the reaction I think he wanted from the fans anyway. They all give him a bit of grief, which is so it's fair enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if he's going to do it, he's going to get grief, isn't he? So I mean,
you reap what you sow, as the saying is.
You certainly do. But we're all about building friends here on the Heat Army podcast. And Dean, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, getting to know a little bit more about Oldham and what's been happening down there. And we say this to everybody: good luck for the rest of the season, just not on Tuesday night. You
too, lads. I mean, we got to win one each and draw one, and I think that's fair enough, isn't it? So
no, we'll have 2 wins and a draw.
But I will
don't be greedy now. Don't be greedy.
What I will say, any Oldham fans coming up on Tuesday night, the Schooner pub just down the road from the ground. It's about 5-10 minute walk. Go down there. You've got guest beers on, and there's plenty of nice food there. So if you want something to eat before the game, go there. And the pies are gated. You love the pies.
Oh, that's music to our fans' ears, that, Mickey.
Go, yeah, definitely.
Enjoy yourselves. It's going to be cold, but you're from the north, so we're kind of put people off from the north. Well, as soon as we see it from the south, they shit themselves.
Oh, well, that's great. Thank you very much, Dean, and hopefully we can speak to you again next season if we're still in the same league.
Hopefully. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for having me on.
Take care, Matt. What are you doing, bud?
See you.
There we go. That was Matt Dean. Absolutely fantastic to speak to him. We've got lots of messages. We will go through them. I'm going to quickly play a message on how to follow our social media and like and subscribe, all of that good stuff. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about Tony Lee and Gates FC ladies. And of course, if anyone was at Southend, give us a bell. Apparently they were harmed by the nana. She's sick to death of them in Wooler at the minute. I think my daughter's been a little bit cheeky. She's getting to that age where she thinks she can answer back, and Nana was having none of it. Before we go on to talk about Tony Lee, let's talk about the ladies. There they are today. There we go. Celebration photo after the game. Fantastic result. We spoke to Hugo and Rusty through the week, as well as Lindsay and Dion. and they've went out and done us proud again. 8-2 winners, Mickey.
Yeah, played really well. Very competitive game as well. There was a few tempers flaring today, I must admit. But the lasses have stayed disciplined and played really well. I've got to say, Bishop Oakman's equaliser, free kick, Carly had no chance.
Yeah, it was a
Sent it right into the top corner, absolutely worldy. But Craig got 5, Livy got 3, and it was a really good performance. We're buzzing with the way they played. Me and Jamie have the unofficial man of match. We'll go through it. And funny, we're saying, well, this one's played well, that one's played well, that one's played well, this one's played really well, that one's played, and how can you ignore Crid when she's got 5 goals? I mean, Crid played absolutely phenomenal again, but they all did today.
Yeah.
And given one person man of the match, I mean, Crid did play well. Don't get us wrong. But people are going to say, well, she scored 5 goals, but you cannot ignore her performance with the 5 goals.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Livy scored an absolute raking hat-trick as well, and she's unlucky not to get man of the match. Sophie played really well. It was a real team performance, and I could see Carl and Hugo were equally happy at the end. And long may it continue. We've got a week off now, because they're not playing next week. It was their turn to miss a game, and I'm not even sure who we've got the following week, to be fair, because I don't think we're meant to be playing today, and the game was rearranged.
Yeah.
So, but
it's worked out really well, hasn't it?
Together.
Yeah.
Oh, they're clicking so well.
Good. That's what we want, and hopefully we can get some of the highlights up when they get them, and we'll be able to show them each week, which would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, poor Lindsay was ill, so Lindsay didn't play today. Jess Douglas has got a knock, so she couldn't play today. But we've got a decent squad, and it's coming on really well, and it really, really is coming together. The partnership up front with Jess and Crid and Livy, it's just amazing. And you've got other lasses who are chomping at the bit to get in the side as well, and they are decent players as well. Nice
one. Well, we've got a mess from Kenwood. So what a great idea having a show on a Sunday as the TV is rubbish. If we don't win on Tuesday, we're in big trouble. Look, there's a lot of games to be played, and there's a lot of teams in free fall around us. We can't win every game. We know that. But that's a game.
It is a 6 point. It would be nice to get that 3 points.
It would be nice to get it and hopefully get ourselves out there.
I'm really worried about the strength of our team.
See what we've got there. We've got shout out to Conta. Yes, we've got Cow Daly. I'm looking forward to your commentary coming back in this run of home games. It's well seen the levels of quality compared to the way coverage has been absolutely dire. I'll not comment. Boyle Sports won't be at the Oldham game on Tuesday because on holiday, but I'll be there for Chesterfield. Good. Hopefully we can get everybody there and support. Remember, drag your friends along. Where we've got a message here from guys. I'm in neutral. I think Maidstone are done. Other teams that relegation race looks open. Who do you think will go down? Look, there's a lot of teams in free fall. There's a lot of teams that could turn it around. At the minute, I think it could be any of 8 teams or even 9 teams could go down. Maybe even a little bit higher. I think it's such an open one. It's going to be whoever just doesn't get the goals. So sadly, I think that's what it's going to be. But to pick out, there's a lot of bad teams there at the minute, a lot of inconsistent teams, and we'll just have to see how it's going. Someone asked, where's Davy Steele? Well, he's come down cold. With a cold, he thinks it might be COVID. Hopefully it isn't. So hopefully he's sitting there watching and having a laugh and a giggle with us. So we'll have him back soon. Hopefully,
penguin flu.
Yeah, his penguin flu. That's what it is. It's caught up with him late. Be lovely seeing the team back at home. It will. Hopefully we get a win.
How long does it feel?
Sorry.
how long does it feel since we had a home game?
I know, it's crazy, and the miles that have stacked up, over 2,000. York only 2 points above us, and we have a game in hand, so we can catch teams. Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom, but if we can get a point, disappointing result on Saturday, shame about Aaron Martin's red. Yeah, it is a real shame. But before we get back onto that, just like we mentioned it a little bit earlier on, sadly we lost a lovely man. Me and Mickey had more interactions with him than me. I talked to him a fair bit in his second stint as manager. Lovely man. We had his son on, Graham Lee. Was it earlier in this season or the back end of last season? To talk about, because obviously he wasn't in great health then. We wanted just to, talk about how how loved he was at Gateshead. Sadly, he has passed away. And his son Anthony Lee and Graham Lee have been posting lots of things on Twitter. And if anyone's got any messages, just to send them now. We'll read them out and put them up on screen, because I mentioned earlier on, in life we give people their flowers and their plaudits when they're gone. We were lucky enough to be able to speak to Graham, as I mentioned just before there, about how great his dad was, Tony, and how beloved he was around the northeast scene, not just at Gateshead. He achieved some amazing things as a football manager, and just a great miss to football and his family especially.
The biggest compliment I can pay Tony Lee is, yes, he was a good football manager, but he was an even better man.
Yeah. He had time for everybody, didn't he? He loved to talk football. Didn't matter if it was about Gateshead or everyone else. So you're obviously very proud of Graham's achievements in football. He was at Chef Wed when he was manager at Gateshead, so he was always looking out for the Chef Wed results. He just loved his football. He was a proper football man. Your classic football man. It didn't matter if he was watching a Sunday League game or a Premier League game. He just loved it. And not only that, he loved his family, because he'd always talk about them, talk about Graham.
About family money on the buses.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough back then to be traveling on the team bus, because the club was trying to save money and things like that. And we got to speak to obviously the players and himself. But I mean, things didn't work out fantastically for him. Of course, he was relieved of duties and stuff, but a lot of that team that he assembled, the Steve Salvins of this world that he brought into the football club, were magnificent signings. Players that we hadn't heard of or didn't think they were capable of the things that they did in a Gateshead shirt, and that was down to Tony Lee. And I just, I was really sad when I seen that he had passed away. And
my daughter's named after him. For God's sake, what's the biggest compliment you could probably pay him?
Yeah, and as I said, there was a lovely touch at Middlesbrough as well. I seen the Suns had shared it. I think it was on the 75th minute. There was a round of applause during the game, and a picture of Tony put up in his prime up on the screen there at the Riverside. So well done to Middlesbrough. I think there's a nice celebration of a fantastic man and a great footballing personality in the northeast, and he'll be greatly missed. Absolutely.
Definitely. And my heartfelt condolences to
Graham
and all their families and friends, and Tony Lee's friends, because he will be sorely missed. Absolutely devastating news.
He certainly will. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about all the things that are happening this week. Obviously, we've got the 2 games coming up. Away to Maidstone, that's going to be a tough one on Saturday. And we'll leave the Maidstone one. We'll concentrate on Oldham predictions, get them in, and we'll be back with you just after this.
Hello, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe and share the show.
Yes, get liking this video on Facebook and on YouTube, please. It really does help us. And if you want to send in a comment, please do. You can still send messages for Tony Lee, and also anything you want to talk about at the game. Were you at the game as well yesterday down at Southend? We spoke about it a little bit briefly before there. Look, the things that were going on down there, I thought might have overshadowed the game a little bit, might have given us a little bit of a chance. We'll never know if the red card would have changed the result, if we had kept the 11 men on the pitch. But yeah, it was a, with the results that happened around us, it wasn't that bad a result. But looking forward,
catastrophic, was it?
It wasn't catastrophic. Well, as we mentioned, teams are in free fall at the moment, and if we can pick up a point, in the next game, that would be really, really good. So hopefully we can keep doing that. So yeah, we've got lots of people following us on Twitter as well. Keep doing it at @Heed_Army if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, and you get updates of when we are putting up commentary and things like that, and the next show, because we've been a little bit sporadic of late, but we will be back 8 o'clock Thursday night. 8 o'clock is the new time going forward, because I've got to try and keep my daughter in bed, because she keeps getting up saying I'm too loud. And coincidentally, our bedroom's above where I broadcast, and I talk pretty loud. So we've got some predictions coming in here. We've got 0-0 from Isaac Mulholland. We've got a 3-1 win by Mr. Luke. Ken Harper's put happy 1-0 Gateshead. I'll take all of these. And we stay positive 3-2 win, which is after a goal fest live. Oh, yeah. God, it's getting too excited. I wonder what Darren's doing in the middle of the Irish Sea. He'd be thinking, just let's get by. No injuries and suspensions in the point. And 3 would be even better. But yeah, keep sending them predictions. It'll be absolutely fantastic. Of course, Gateshead at home on Tuesday night. I don't know if the corporate does have any more upgrades available, but if you'd like to go to corporate, we're putting this out. The club hasn't asked us to do this, by the way. We're just doing it to help support the club. Any little thing that we'll push anything from the soul as well. If they send us it, we'll put it all out. And of course, if you haven't already followed Gates FC Ladies, there is their Twitter handle there, and you'll get all their results and news about fixtures on their Twitter. So keep that going. And of course, if you've got any more messages for Tony Lee, so sadly no longer with us, we'll read those out. I think it's only appropriate that we do that. More messages coming in. 2-0 to Gateshead, says Christopher Story. Sam Pellington's put 2-1. We've got here, good to see the ladies are doing really well. When's the next fixture, Mickey?
It's 2 weeks today, actually, but I don't know who we're playing. I haven't looked. And
might a league game being arranged in that time, because obviously they weren't supposed to be playing yesterday either, were they?
Very much doubt it.
Oh, well, we'll keep posted, but follow the Gates FC Ladies Twitter page, and you will see what is going on there. And Darren Walden's put 2-1 wins for the next 2 games. I'll tell you what, I will swim out the Irish Sea and give you a kiss and cuddle if that happens, Darren. I'll be straight.
Darren, hold him to it. I'll get the Lord. So when he's swimming across that Mickey, Irish Sea, I can sit and laugh my head off.
Mickey, I've been waiting years for saying that you'll grease me up. My wife's not in. I can say what I want. But if you're first, we're getting greased up on the next episode on Black Road, ready to go out there. So yeah, you can keep sending them messages. We've got about 10 minutes left saved. But no, it's hopefully say we get Castro back to being involved up front. Harris as well, he deserves a start. He obviously missed out the past few games through illness. He was on the bench the other day.
He probably will start on Tuesday.
Yeah, and look, the lad's scoring goals. His confidence is rising. Let's not forget, he's still a very young lad, and there's time to develop. And I'm not going to slate Macaulay Langstaff, but he wasn't the Macaulay Langstaff that we sold. Was the one that came in his first stint. So there's time to develop. That's all I'm saying. Let's get behind all these lads. Oh, hang on 1 second. Only enough room. We've enough seals in our oil houses already. I'm going to put me on full screen so I can show the shocking dismay that you think I'd be like a fat seal. I'm more of a love slug anyway. Work my way into the bedroom. Right. We've got a message here. Wonder how many Oldham will bring up on Tuesday night, thinking there might be a fair few. Hopefully there is, make it a good atmosphere. And Liv Walden's put bit rude pet. There was a message earlier on from Oldham fan here. Sorry, I didn't bring it up further. Best boozer for away fans to come down on Tuesday. Schooner, Mickey. It's just down behind the stadium. You'll be able to Google it. It's a 5-10 minute walk if you're good on your feet, if that. And lovely food as well. If you get here early in the afternoon, go down there. It's on the bank of the river. Get yourself down. And as I say, they are going to be doing a fundraising night as well at the schooner for the Gated Soul. I did see a post about that. So if we can get some information sent across from the Gated Soul, we will push that to the hilt. And that would be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, keep it going, everybody. Keep it going. Remember, please do share the podcast as well. And if you're at the match day, tell your friends. Say, come on, have you watched it yet? Get them in. It might not be everyone's cup of tea. That's fair enough. That's life. But if they want to give us a go, tell them to give us a go. Yeah, that's exactly what they look like. Cheers. So they look like a shaven head, slightly plump 41-year-old man. It's nice to know that I've mastered that look, isn't it? So yes. I know. Oh, you know what it is. We got here. He'd won 1-0. Last minute winner from a corner header. Story. I'd take that.
I would have believed it until he said from a corner.
Yeah, that's it. You will be getting bored. Oh, there we go. That's from Liv. We're not going to get bored. Yeah. So as I said, we'll leave it for another 5 minutes. Anyone wants to get some messages, any comments on anything that we haven't covered so far? Of course, we talked about Southend. Were you there? Oldham preview predictions. You want to get them in? Your thoughts on that? Of course, Tony Lee, the side passing, the Gated Ladies. And also we've mentioned it a couple of times in previous shows, but if you'd like to try and get along and experience the corporate for a lovely slap-up dinner before the game and get to sit in the comfy seats, and also you'll get to speak to Tony Carter when he's walking around in his lovely suit. So there we go. It's hopefully a positive show today. So it wasn't the result we wanted yesterday, but we look forward to Tuesday and think, hey, we can hopefully get something out of this.
What's your prediction?
It's just before going to my prediction, corner or free kick, not fussed. I think it'll be a hard fought 2-1 either side. I think there's going to be goals in it, but I think whoever scores first will go on to win.
As you know, I cannot predict when I do a prediction. I won't go against your team, so I'm gonna be mega optimistic and go 3-1 to Gators.
Well, that would be very, very nice. Hopefully, wouldn't it? It would be amazing. Right. Well, I think that's probably it. We'll call it there. It's been a lovely show. Thank you to Matt Dean joining us from the Boundary. I better get the name of this podcast right because I'm terrible for remembering things. So I'll just quickly get it, and then we'll the Boundary Park Alerts. It hasn't brought up the full thing. The Boundary Park Alert System podcast. And I think I might be on that on Wednesday night, talking to them after the game. So, lovely to have them on. Say they've been through the mill, but they've come out the other side. So big thank you to them for coming on. They say we're building bridges all over the National League and are in the footballing community. So say it's nice to keep it going. And we've got a couple of messages that have come in. I hope the team stay positive on Tuesday and forget about yesterday's result. Look, that'll be in the past now. Mike won't let them dwell on that. They'll be looking forward and concentrating on this. I remember when Oldham were in the Premier League. Well, I'm glad you didn't say that. Just to rub it in. Great show again, lads. It certainly was. I know. I'm very proud of this one. Right. On that note, proud of Mickey as well. He's gorgeous. Look at him. Right. We're off to go and get me greased up. So we'll see you next time, Mickey. And I hope you've got warm hands. Oh, look at them fingers.